Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Talkin Kop. My name's Ashley. I am here with Gav and Kev to preview the FA Cup fourth round match between Plymouth Argyle and Liverpool this Sunday. Gav has kindly let me go back into the hosting seat today. I'll be honest with you guys, I do not know a ton about Plymouth other than it's Wayne Rooney's old team. It looks like they have only lost twice since the turn of the year, but they are rooted to the bottom of the championship with just 25 points. So, with that in mind, how do we feel going into this match this weekend? Gav, you can go first.
To be fair, I think we go on about a lot of fixtures and we go on a lot about fixture congestion, and of course winning the League Cup semi-final the other night. We have an Aston Villa game now that's moved before before the City game, which takes that midweek advantage away from us a little bit. But if you want to win trophies, you have to deal with this. You have to deal with fixtures being moved around. You'll probably end up playing 4 games in about 11 days at some stage towards the back end of the season. But I think this has fallen nicely for Arne Slot. I think it couldn't, if you could, with the Everton game coming up, I think it's fallen really nicely. I think he was allowed to go really strong against Spurs in order to secure that place in the final. He has this game away to Plymouth, who are bottom of the championship. And I'm not saying it's an absolute walk in the park, but I think he's in a really good position where he can go, what have I done on Thursday? What can I do on Sunday? And essentially, what do I want from next Wednesday night? What do I want to put on the pitch next Wednesday night? And I think this is a really good game to do it. I think if we are away to a Chelsea or even like a Sheffield United who are flying high, now I don't even know if Sheffield United are still in the cup, but if you're away to a Chelsea or a Newcastle or something like that, you'd be going, he has to put out a team. But this one just sits nicely where I think he can pick a team, a mix of youth and players that don't play every week for Liverpool and still have enough and not have a huge bearing on, fitness and everything else going into Wednesday night. So I think it's sat really well for Arne Slot.
Yeah, so I think we went a little bit stronger than maybe we expected last night. At least than Phil expected. He certainly was advocating for a full rotation.
Yeah.
Knowing that, I think that we can probably maybe think about what's going to happen on the weekend. I think you're right in terms of you work back from the Everton game and you kind of figure out, okay, who needs the minutes and who needs what. And, it seems like that's what Slot was putting forward in his press conference. It was very much, we're going to give minutes to the players that need the minutes that haven't gotten the chance to play. Kev, are there certain players that you're looking forward to seeing that you think really need this game more than anyone else?
Chiesa for sure. Kwanzaa definitely. Endo definitely. I think Kelleher probably plays back to back. I'd be surprised if he doesn't. But there's a lot of players. We only really had the one injury in Joe Gomez. There's an awful lot of players there now that need minutes, and I think people might be surprised by the lineup he puts out, or the quality of the lineup that he puts out to start the game. But I expect him to be clever around his substitutions, like he was in the Eindhoven game. Move players around the pitch rather than managing them using substitutions kind of way. I wouldn't be surprised if Endo started in one position, finished the game in another position, that kind of way. But the only place I think in the pitch that we're limited as to what options he can use is probably right back. I think Conor Bradley probably starts. But whether Conor Bradley finishes is another matter. But then again, you look at the amount of minutes Conor Bradley actually has in his legs. It's not much. I think he's probably got less than 10 starts this season. Coming back off an injury himself, he could probably do with building himself up into a rhythm. He looked really good against Spurs. So, and he's a young lad. There should be no problem with him playing 3 games in a week. He should be fine with it, but I don't know whether he'd play all of the game against Plymouth. But the thing is, you look at their results. I mean, they beat West Brom last week at home, come from behind to win 2-1. And scruffy goals. One was a penalty. But the other game, then they got a point away at Sunderland. But then Burnley went and hammered them 5-0. They're bottom of the table for a reason, but they are a championship side with some decent quality in and about him. So, and that place will be up for it. Yeah, it'll be a full house, be a good atmosphere. I don't think you can go and throw a load of players in and just say, here, go and win that game. I think you got to be fair to the players you're going to pick as well. Try to pick square pegs and square holes as much as possible and give them a chance to show what they can do. There's no point in turning around to even Endo and say, look, yeah, you played centre back once or twice, go and play centre back there for us. I don't think it helps anyone out.
Yeah, I think Connor Bradley's an interesting one. I mean, we have heard about Trent coming back relatively soon. I think the quote from Slot was days rather than weeks rather than months. So I don't know if he's going to be fit for Everton or not. So that's something to come into consideration. The other thing that's probably in the manager's mind is the fact that he might be limited due to the U19 FA Cup game that's going on this weekend. So there might be some youth players that would normally see some minutes in this game that might be held back for that game. So I do wonder in terms of, which youth players we might see. Gav, what do you think about like a player like McConnell coming in? I mean, we heard that Morton's injured, unfortunately. So it looks like he might be the one that steps in there.
Yeah, and to be fair, like when you said the word Martin there, I thought, did we not sell him about last week? But we didn't.
We tried.
We were open to it, but Middlesbrough wouldn't pay the asking price, which was I think 10 million plus, which is fair enough. Liverpool shouldn't be giving away their players for less than what they think they're worth. Yeah, look, it all for me. It's all down to Everton. Like, and I know we're playing Plymouth on Sunday, and if there's anybody from or watching this that is a Plymouth fan or wherever, I'm not disrespecting Plymouth in any way. It's a huge game for them. It's a big game for Liverpool because, like, when you get past this round and you do one more round next year, you're looking at, I think you're looking at quarterfinals. It gets, it comes up on you quick. But I genuinely think that when he started out this week, he looked and he went, okay, Spurs, Plymouth, Everton. And Spurs, Everton, Spurs, Plymouth in that order of importance. So when it comes to this weekend, Kev said it there, people might be surprised. I think they'll only be surprised if they're expecting the likes of, Naoni, McConnell, all the young lads you can think of, all to start. I don't think that's going to happen. I think what he looked to do is he will look to pick his team for Everton and work his way backwards. And if he's picking Alexander-Arnold for Everton, I think you'll probably see Bradley and Alexander-Arnold in the squad on Sunday, where Bradley will do 60 and Alexander-Arnold will do 30, just to get him a little bit of game time, any rustiness out of him before they play Everton. So it won't be a team where you go, oh my God, these are just all kids. Like, this could go any way at all. I don't think it'll be like that at all, because when you look around, right, the Alisson thing is interesting. Does he throw Alisson in? Does he play Kelleher? Alisson might be fine. No, I'll play Everton. It's fine. You look at the right back situation. Then you have the left back situation. Robertson has been preferred in the last couple of games, if I remember rightly. Although he does play with Tsimikas away at PSV, but he's being preferred there. So you'll probably look at Tsimikas because you'll want to keep him ticking over in case anything comes up before Everton. You look at centre back and you say to yourself, Kwanzaa for me will absolutely start the game, but you have to play another centre back. And who is that going to be? The chances are he'll play Virgil van Dijk. The chances are he will do that. But having said that, he'll probably put Konate on the bench and go, we're gonna play you 45. When you go into midfield, we know all the usual suspects that play in there. Harvey Elliott will be looking to get a run there. Curtis Jones starts the other night. McAllister didn't. Do they share some of the workload on Sunday? I don't know. I do think Endo's an interesting one, and McConnell definitely.
Yeah.
And then up front, Jota needs minutes. If you want Jota fully firing going into Everton, he needs minutes. There's no two ways about it. So Jota might play. Do you do Diaz or Nunez? Salah will probably turn up and say, I'm playing. If we turn up here, I can get 2 or 3 more goals. But I know people are going, holy shit. And let's be honest, I was doing the Spurs preview with Phil, and I was like, Phil, I don't want any of my players near any of these games unless it's a Premier League game. Now, I softened that stance throughout the show because I realised you're being a bit of an idiot here, and you should be looking to win everything. And I admitted that openly. But when you look at it, it's For me, Arne Slot is looking to give minutes to as many as he can, but make sure that they're absolutely primed going into Everton. And I'm with Kev. I think the lineup might surprise a few, and the wider squad might surprise a few.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting listening to Slot talk about load management and how he's kind of tinkered with things in the squad, and he's definitely mentioned quite a few times that he values players actually playing in games, and he
Yeah,
thinks that, you know, in terms of, like, as fans, we think of fatigue with players playing in games. He thinks of them as getting stronger. And, you know, I know a lot of us look at some of these players saying we definitely need to rest them or we should just play the kids. But I think Slot looks at it a little bit differently. Kev, how do you look at the FA Cup in general? Like, what's your priority list? Do you just say bin this completely, or do you think that this is a tool that Slot can use? I mean, I know that the magic of the cup seems to have lost its shine for you. I'm just curious what your thoughts are on
Yeah,
that.
I couldn't give a flying twopenny about the FA Cup until you can get to a semi-final. You get to a semi-final, I'll really take notice. Until then, it's exactly. Do you know what? That's the best description I could come up with for an FA Cup. It's a tool. It's a tool for the squad. Keeps everyone in the squad involved in a competition. Everyone has a vested interest. It's not like if you're only focused on the league and the Champions League, and that's it. You're a squad player. You might be the fifth choice centre midfielder or the fifth choice attacker, and you know, like, unless there's a catastrophic injury somewhere and someone else gets a suspension, you're not getting a look in. You're sulking around the training ground. You're not happy. You're agitated. It creates a disharmony around the squad. When we've been at our best is when we've been involved in as many competitions for as long as possible, and it brings the best out of everyone in and around it. This is no different. You want to get through the tie, get hopefully a home draw, a nice home draw in the fifth round if you get through it. No replays, absolutely no replays. I don't even know if replays are a thing now, but I'll really take notice of the FA Cup if you're in a semi final. Then yeah, it's you're going to Wembley for a semi final. Hate that, and then you by that time of year as well, you know where you're going to be in the league. You'll have qualified for a Champions League at this stage once the semi-finals of the FA Cup comes around. You'll know if you're in a quarter-final, semi-final of the Champions League. You know what's your run in like. Do you have a real chance of winning it? And hopefully, you already have a League Cup in the bag. So everything is possible. But for me, the early rounds of the FA Cup is a tool for the squad to keep momentum, keep players ticking over, give minutes to players who need them, and rotate the ones who need a rest. That's all this has to be about. It cannot be seen any other way. I hate this idea about it's the drama of the FA Cup, it's the theatre of the FA Cup. There's a game going on now, right? Manchester United are 1-1 against Leicester still, going into the 88th minute. Unless you're a Man United, I bet you the TV viewing figures for this on ITV are absolutely dog putrid. And people are probably only watching it just to see how bad Manchester United are. I think terrestrial TV companies have been able to buy into the FA Cup because it's so damn cheap. They can't give away the rights to these cup competitions anymore because you look right the way through the fourth round draw. There isn't a standout fixture in it, not one. And the last round of the FA Cup, yeah, Manchester United Arsenal standout fixture. Other than that, I think the FA Cup as a whole, the whole competition, it needs a complete revamp. They need to rethink the whole thing about a domestic cup competition, and they really need to get it down to having one domestic cup. You cannot continue with players at the top level. FIFA are going to introduce their Club World Cup. That's just going to happen. You cannot keep flogging these players so they get 2-3 weeks rest every year. And it's not even that because you've got a World Cup or European Championships every other year. And then you fire in a World Club Championships on top of that. That means one summer in 4 players are getting a proper break. It can't continue. You cannot. I think England is one of the few countries left now that has 2 domestic cup competitions. And it's only there for nostalgia and money. It cannot be allowed to go on.
Yeah, but you see, I have a different read on this, and Bourette was getting into this because we've about 10 minutes left before we finish, and we do predictions and everything, right? It's I don't think the competition being there is the problem. I think the problem is the absolute watering down of the competition. That's the issue. So you shouldn't have FA Cup games on a Friday night. You should. Somebody said in the chat there a few minutes ago, and this is how much attention I pay, that the next round is actually midweek, right? Which is fucking bananas, right? Jonathan there says the fifth round is on the 1st of March between the Newcastle and Southampton Premier League games, just for your information. The problem here is that when you talk about the theatre of the FA Cup and the magic of the FA Cup, which moments still do exist, but those moments are happening now when it's on a Friday night or a Monday night or a Tuesday night, whereas years and years ago there was something behind the FA Cup because the vast majority of games were played. You would have one at 12:30, you would have one maybe at 5:30 or 8 o'clock on a Saturday, you'd have the big match on a Sunday, which was one tie, and everything else kicked off at 3 o'clock on a Saturday, right?
Yeah.
And the reason it felt like magic was because no one could fucking watch them, right? And you watch Match of the Day, and it was like, wow, look at that, this fella, Wrexham against Arsenal in '91, I think it was, things like that happening, and it was all about a day of stuff happening. But now it's like, fucking, they're playing away on Wednesday night, and it's like nobody cares, and you've so much access now. They've watered it down themselves. Do you know what I mean? Where they'd be better off saying, listen, this is what we're going to do. We're going to put it on Saturdays, and we're going to give the TV companies all the access to them, and we're going to stick a match on every channel. Every channel gets a match. You can watch wherever you like. And then we can watch Match of the Day that night, and we can watch all this stuff. But the fact that it's all watered down that's the death of it. Not the actual competition being there. And that's why the League Cup becomes more popular, because people go, well, the FA Cup, like, whereas the League Cup, there's a higher standard of team in it throughout, and they are traditionally midweek. So the League Cup have actually kept a traditional slot, which has made them stronger. The FA Cup has been watered down across basically a week of fixtures for the third and fourth and fifth rounds, and people just aren't interested, and that's the problem with the FA Cup.
I mean, it's interesting because at least in the US, they do that for the very last game of the season in the Premier League, is they just share it across, a whole range of cable television channels. And so you can watch whatever game you want. And I like that idea of, having kind of a blockbuster FA Cup weekend where you can kind of pick whatever game you want. I didn't even know until, like, someone mentioned it that Manchester United was playing tonight. I had no idea. And I have no idea if they're winning or they're losing at this point. But I do think they've taken the shine off of the competition as a whole by, it almost feels like it's an afterthought that they're squeezing in. So I don't know. I mean, I know it's not a huge deal for us. It does seem like it's going to be a big deal for these Plymouth fans. I mean, everything that I've read about, they're sold out. Their fans have been talking about it for weeks. Their manager seems like, I mean, he's talking about Liverpool in glowing regards, talking about them as the best team in the world. So it's definitely going to be an event for them. Hopefully we can use it, like I said, as a tool for the squad. And speaking of the squad, I think we should probably get into maybe what we think of as lineups and what our predictions are for the lineups going forward, just because we are trying to wind this down so that we can have some random chat later in this evening as well. So
Magic of the Cup is still alive. Magic of the Cup is still alive. Manchester United come from behind against dog awful Leicester. Yeah. Harry Maguire scoring.
That's not magical at all. That's the opposite of magical. All right. Well, moving on from that shitstorm, Kev, why don't you give us your predictions for the week?
Okay. I think we would go with Kelleher, Bradley, Kwanzaa, Kanate, Tsimikas, McConnell, McAllister, Endo, Chiesa, Darwin, and Harvey Elliott on the wing.
Okay. What about scoreline and goal scorers?
I think we win it 2-0, maybe 3-0. I think Chiesa gets one. I think Darwin gets one. And throw McAllister in as well. Why not?
That'd be nice. Okay. Gav? You heard what Kev had to say. What's your predicted lineup?
Kelleher, Bradley, Kwanzaa, Van Dijk, Simicast, and I'm saying Van Dijk because you have to remember Kanate is still really coming back from a bit of an injury, and he was rushed back, and I think he needs to be looked after. So yeah, I'm going Simicast left back. I'm going Endo, Elliott, McConnell.
Okay.
But I know I'm putting a few midfielders on the bench. You have to remember I'm putting a load of lads in the bench. And then I'm going Chiesa, Jota, Diaz.
Chiesa, Jota, Diaz. Okay.
Yeah.
I think a couple of the questions are, in terms of lineup is how fit is Jota?
Yeah.
It is Gomez game match fit.
I don't
know if he is.
I don't think so.
Okay. I think the big question mark is probably Jota then. What about your predictions and your goal scorers before I say what my things are?
3-1 to Liverpool.
Okay.
I think Harvey Elliott scores. I think Jota scores. And I think Conor Bradley scores.
Conor Bradley would be great. I mean, he's due.
I think he's due.
He's due, and he had a fantastic night the other day. So I agree with you guys with Kelleher in goal. I think there's a few people out there predicting Allison. I just think he gets the weekend off. I think he's fine. I think my question mark, if Gomez was fit, I would have thrown him in right back, but I think he goes with Bradley. I think Kwanzaa and Endo will probably be the center back partnership. I think Virgil probably is on the bench just for leadership. I think Simicast gets this game. I'm going to say McConnell, Jones, and Elliott in midfield. I think McConnell sits a little bit deeper. Jones looked good in that deeper role versus Spurs as well. So, that could be interesting to see who plays the 6 there. I don't know how fit Jota is. So I think Chiesa, Nunes, Diaz would be my starters. And then I would bring Jota in kind of like for that strategic last 30 minutes. I'm going to go 3-0 for us. I'm going to say Chiesa, I agree. I think he's due a goal. I think Nunes is also due a goal. And Elliott would be my third.
Okay.
So that's where I'm going off.
That's absolutely fine.
Are there any other standouts of the round before we head out for...
I don't even know who's in the round.
Okay.
I feel like I need to let Avo know. Avo says Plymouth is fucking miles away. I don't want any of the big 11 travelling. They're not going in a minibus, Avo. You know what I mean? Don't worry about it. If they have to go on a plane and fly down, they will. Like, literally, they can come out of Home Park, isn't it?
It's Home Park, yeah.
They can come out of Home Park, drive up the road, get on a plane, and be home in 20 minutes. So no panic at all. Like, do you know what I mean?
Everything will be padded and cushioned. And
they're not going in the back of a van. Like, do you know what I mean? It's all good.
Funny enough, the last time we were there.
Travel down the country.
Yeah.
The last time we were there was 2017. We won 1-0, and I was just looking it up. What the line? Yeah, what the
replay on that though?
Yes, it was.
I got the line up here for that day, right? Loris Karius in goal.
Yeah.
Joe Gomez, Alberto Moreno.
Can we see if we can guess them?
Go on then from there on.
So you said Karius.
Yeah, Gomez, Moreno, and Trent.
So there's another centre half. 2018. Is that what you said?
2017.
17. Did Dejan Lovren play?
Nope.
No.
There's no other centre half.
There's no other centre half?
Nope.
Henderson?
Lucas played centre half.
Oh, Lucas played centre half.
Yeah.
Oh God, I don't know who else played that day then.
All right, Coutinho.
Right.
Lucas. Kevin Stewart.
Yeah.
Ovi Ajaria.
Oh yeah. Ajaria.
Daniel Sturridge.
Yes.
Divock Origi.
Yes.
And Ben Woodburn.
Oh, nice. There we go. Funny
enough, even on the bench that day, Paulo Alves No fucking clue. Harry Wilson.
I wouldn't even know him if you showed a picture
Nope.
of him. I would have no idea.
Shea Ojo.
Shea
Jordan
Ojo.
Williams. Conor Rando. Ragnar Klavan. Simon Mignolet.
There you
Got
go.
a 1-0 win.
Yeah,
We are better off.
In a replay. That was a replay.
It was, because the first leg or the first game at Anfield, I think, was it a 0-0 draw?
It was 0-0, yeah.
Yeah.
0-0.
And we were horrendous.
Yeah. Third round replay, that was.
Yeah, there you go. Right. I think we've done a brilliant job. Do you think so, Ashley? Because I think we have.
I mean, I think in terms of, the gravitas of the game, I think we did well to cover, 30 minutes of it. Yeah. I mean, you know what? I think looking forward to it as a chance to see players that don't normally get minutes is kind of what we can hope for. There are definitely players that I would love to see just have a great game. Like Chiesa, like you guys said, is due. So let's hope for that. And for everyone that's in here that's a member, I think that we are all coming back for the 30, which is in about 2 minutes.
Yes.
So you're welcome to join us for that. If you're not a member, consider signing up. It is definitely worth its weight in gold. It's about the price of a coffee. And trust me, you get way more entertainment value for that. So yeah, consider signing up and come join us on the 30 in about 2 minutes. But for everyone else, thank you so much. Have a great night, and we'll talk to you real soon. Bye, everyone.